Wow. I mean, pretty much everything from the Golden Globes happened tonight as well. a
Usually
few,
happens.
a couple minor surprises, and by minor surprises, I mean, well, that wasn't what I thought it was, but it was also what I thought was going to win too. Wow. When they joked, I remember, what was it? It was Kenan Thompson, I think, a couple years ago, who mentioned, like, oh, yeah, we give nominations to a bunch of shows and then we give awards to like five. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
in this case, we nominate a bunch of shows, we give awards to three, pretty
Yep.
much.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Like we promised last week, we're here talking about the Primetime Emmy winners. This is going to be probably not too long to talk about. So, first of all, let's just say this Anthony Anderson, way better than Joe Coy. uh, that's an incredibly low bar to clear, but still better than Joe Coy.
Well, he's also been a comedian much longer, and I think he's an Emmy darling.
Well, because he was nominated for Blackish, and he's been. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he hosted before, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. Which, by the way, everybody, I'm Justin, beardless now. Funny enough, I know. Oh my gosh, where'd the beard go? So I'm working a new job that requires me to be outside a bunch, and unfortunately, it's freezing temperatures here in Idaho. And when I sweat, my beard gets frozen. Like, not kidding, like totally frozen. The flip side, though, is when I shave and I go out in that same temperature, now I'm just cold. So I can't win that one.
Frozen
But over
beards
here
are
we got
pretty
Bradley.
cool looking. It's a noble sacrifice for comfort.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, Bradley, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. And as we promised, Rose, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right.
Excellent. We may or may not have our friend Melina jump in too. She may just appear just because kind of thing. That'll be fun.
Summon Melina.
You summon Melina to the chat. Anyways, yeah, it's probably going to be a very quick discussion because freaking 3 shows won the majority of the Emmys tonight.
This is a very boring Emmys.
Yeah, well, it's weird. It's like on the one hand, I feel like I'm really glad so many of these shows won that deserved it. Like, especially the big 3, where it's like, yeah, apparently everyone tells me Beef is really good, and the other 2 shows I love. But also, yeah, there's just no surprises. You're like, yep, it's gonna be Succession,
Yep.
Bear, Beef, Succession,
Yep.
Bear, Beef.
Yep. Just not. To me, like the most interesting things was the frame of the show around it. The awards, yeah, they were so predictable that it really wasn't any like yeah kind of moments or anything. I got more enjoyment from the recreations of old sitcom sets with mostly reunited casts and everything than I did watching the actual show itself.
Man, there was so much nostalgia baiting throughout this ceremony. Like, I mean, it's one thing to actually get actors from the show, which is cool. It's like, hey, yeah, we brought in the cast of Cheers. We brought in Calissa Flockhart from Ally McBeal, since, I mean, Harrison Ford was there anyway, so she'd be there too. but then they do weird stuff where they put like themes of classic shows and then do nothing of them.
Yeah, stop faking me out with Star Trek and the X-Files and even the Twilight Zone, which they just used as a really weird lead up to introduce American Horror Story, which, huh?
Yeah, the Twilight Zone's much different than that show.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that Gillian Anderson and what's his name? Other guy from X-Files.
Duchovny.
David Duchovny. Yeah, I'm sure they're not busy. I'm just saying,
He was in Meg Ryan's movie. Not great.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it, but
he's not busy.
out of an entire night where they kept surprising you with these look at these shows that we're using to be able to introduce the categories. Every time they played a theme from something and then didn't continue to follow up on that premise, it was so frustrating. Like if you're gonna play anything just as kind of like filler lead-in intros to come back from commercials or whatever, play the theme songs from the shows that are currently on and nominated and stuff tonight so we don't get our expectations up.
Yeah, to be fair, I am glad they highlighted so many old classic shows because it's like, hey,
Mhm.
yeah, kids, this is what television looked like back in the day. You got, All in the Family, which it just makes me realize how old All in the Family is, where there's only two actors left who they could bring out. you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, do you think they would have done that if we hadn't lost Norman Lear?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. Which I mean, freaking heck, Norman Lear lived to be so old.
101 years and it wasn't enough.
Was it 101 years? I was just
Mhm.
guessing on
Yeah,
that one. I
we
was pretty
needed
sure
more
that's right.
time. And I was surprised that they didn't have any kind of like big tribute to him and his shows and his work and everything because it was so influential. They just very quickly paid some lip service to it and then
Yeah.
moved on. And it was like, no, no, you don't just briefly say Norman Lear was influential to TV and media. That's underselling it.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that makes me think of one of the weirdest slash funniest moments of the whole night. The 75 most impactful moments in television history, where they give equal weight to what was it?
That makes me 9/11.
It's like, oh yeah, we got All in the Family and 9/11. You're
the
just
the
like,
entire scope of all of television. That's it. Just Norman Lear and 9/11. That's it, guys.
and also Discovery Television, Melina, we summoned her.
You say 9/11 three times in a row and Melina appears.
Which is the best
Oh
way
my
to appear
god.
anywhere.
Okay, context, Melina.
I'm a
They
cursed
made a whole
woman.
segment where they talked about the 75 most impactful moments in television history. And I mean, yes, 9/11 is an impactful moment in television history because
Okay.
everyone watched it on TV, but they put it in the same category as like lighthearted comedies as well, pretty
Yeah.
much. So it's just
Yeah.
so it was just odd juxtaposition where you're like, oh yeah, the scope of television, All in the Family, and terror attacks.
Oh, okay.
I wonder
So
if that was like a bit that they cut
all right, well,
short for
I'm just
time or
gonna
something. Because I
I'm just
get it.
gonna start by saying I'm the person in this feed who did not watch this year.
No, well, Brad watched it mostly through live tweeting, so
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
mostly I was
we
just
didn't even
following
watch it.
live stream stuff.
yeah. But no, yeah, that was just so weird with that segment where it's like, wait, I'm pretty sure that wasn't 75 moments. That was like 30, maybe even less.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a bit that
oh my
they
gosh.
had that like got weirdly truncated last minute or something. Like if it was something they had done throughout the entire show, where they showed a number of them ultimately equaling 75 throughout the entire program, that would have been something. Or if it had been more pointedly 75 years of television memories to coincide with the 75 Emmys that we've had. But no, it's just here's 75 moments in television history, but really it's only about 9 and 2 of them are 9/11. Bye.
Were there any other true events that happened in
No,
that
Um,
segment?
that's the thing. Like they could have had the Challenger explosion, the Kennedy's assassinate, all these other crazy things, but nope, just 9/11.
Just
yeah.
9/11 happened.
So they did include, like I was saying before, I'm the one who didn't actually get to see this year. So everything that you guys are saying is my introduction. They didn't include any of those.
No, no. It was I
Okay.
kid you not, Melina. It was just
That's
surreal and
very
weird. It
strange.
was very weird. Um, but they had some funny moments throughout this ceremony, which is more you can say with the Golden Globes, where like, Anthony Anderson
Oh,
can get some good laughs every now and then. He wasn't particularly funny, but he was
Yeah,
charismatic, I think, through a lot of it kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, but the funniest bit that cracked me up the entire time was bringing in his mom to be the new music timer, essentially, where if they go on too long, she just stands up for the audience and goes, wrap it up, baby, wrap it up,
Yeah.
you got to get off the
I
stage.
think I think they were gonna get more mileage out of that than they did because we only really saw it that one time for that first award where Jennifer
There were like
Coolidge and she was
there were two other speeches where she did it, but the only one that was genuine, where it wasn't intentionally, that was for Jennifer Coolidge, because she clearly was like, "Oh, sorry."
yeah, and I can only imagine that during commercials they were like, all right, we know that we pulled you in to do this thing, but don't do that again.
Well, I'm sure it was one of the things
Coolidge
that's like
always
it's
knows how to play it
distracting.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's distracting, it's disrespectful. It would work, it would be funny if it was in a rehearsed bit, but when you have people up there actually trying to give thanks for an award they've just won when they only have like 40 seconds to do it, that's just It's not as funny.
And it's always poorly timed as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about all
Yeah.
award shows now. Like when someone's
mean-
like, and my grandmother who died and read to me when I was a kid. Okay, wrap it up.
Well, I mean, that was kind
Whoa.
of the theme with the Golden Globes, where it's like every
Mhm.
bit that they tried to do, all trying to figure out if that was even supposed to fit, because timing was just so terrible. And it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't help that Joe Coy was just not doing well. And I really don't want to crucify him because I
Right.
realized since that he only had like 10 days to prepare.
Oof.
And I'm like, yeah, so, he did not give the best material in the world, but every bit that they tried to do with people coming on, it was like they tried to start something, just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Joe Coy, the other problem too is ever since the Golden Globes, he's been kind of doing one of those like, well, Hollywood people are just soft marshmallows. They just can't handle being insulted kind of thing. It's like,
I think that was the best joke so far, though, that he said.
no, yeah, he said that after the ceremony, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, this is the ceremony that had Ricky Gervais pretty much call Hollywood pedophiles to their faces, So he
That's
flat
pretty
out
guilty.
insulted Leo
Yeah.
DiCaprio talking about how young his girlfriends are. You
Right.
are not roasting.
And that's such an
anybody.
old joke, too.
I know.
And also, I guess, a fact.
Yeah,
It's
he's
funny
not
'cause
wrong.
yeah. Yeah. No, so that was a thing. I mean, some other highlight moments. It was really funny watching Eben Moss-Baccarat make out with Maddie Matheson at the end.
That was great.
Oh, that was good. I mean, it was just so unexpected because they let Maddie accept the award since I think he's a producer on the show too. And Christopher Storer wasn't there that night. But Maddie's just like, oh, I'm so excited. So he just gets kissed by everyone.
So that was
Yeah,
that
excuse me.
Adrian Brody Halle Berry moment where you're like, oh my God.
It's less graceful looking than that because he does like, it's so funny.
Just like, oh well, all right.
I know. I was just chatting with you guys on the phone. I look up. I'm like, what just happened? Oh, that was great. But any other notable moments that you can think of in terms of the ceremony versus the winners kind of thing?
Now, what was because again, I only saw jokes on live stream. What was the joke that Pedro Pascal made about Kieran Culkin that's killing?
So there was
said,
some.
Payback for the Globes.
Kieran Culkin beat the shit out of me in the parking lot.
I was wondering what he said, but that was because he's got his shoulder, with the sling and that stuff, and I guess that's what he said because he was censored. Brett Goldstein was censored. There's a number of people censored tonight.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
funny, like at the Golden Globes where they let them drink.
Well, in the Golden Globes, again, it was the Brits who are mostly getting censored. So I guess we just have to be very cautious with whatever British people say, or Pedro Pascal.
They just
apparently.
that. Like ever since Emma Thompson when she threw her shoes behind her back.
I love
Indeed.
Thompson.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like again, like those moments are fresh when you're in the middle of it, but then when I think about it, oh my gosh, I got to talk about this too. Since Lacey put the photo up here. Oh my gosh, that creepy goblin-looking thing when they did the RuPaul Drag Race.
Yeah.
What is that? What are you?
Awesome.
What are you? Oh, I got to put up the photo here. Here we go.
Awesome.
What are
Heck-
you?
Heck yeah. And I love too that somebody snapped this picture when directing for a drama series was up. That's even better. The background.
You don't know that. That's actually what Mark Mylod looks like.
Hell yeah. They caught his true form.
He looks like
It is,
any Ethel from Baldur's Gate 3. I'm just like, what? Because that was the weirdest thing when RuPaul's Drag Race won. I remember watching and it's like, okay, all the drag queens are coming out. That's really cool. And then I look to the left. I'm like, that does not
Hi?
belong.
I'm sorry, is it that sci-fi prosthetic show?
Oh yeah,
Face
FX,
Off.
Face Off,
Yeah.
whatever that was.
This
Yeah,
was
that's
a fun
good
show.
job.
Yeah.
Very
That's
Grinch-y and
amazing.
Yeah, that was so
extremely
weird.
impressive. Oh my God.
Did you say that's a Baldur's Gate character?
Well,
Yeah.
so there's a character, Annie Ethel from Baldur's Gate 3 that looks a lot like that design. I got to
Okay.
at least in her true form. I think I can find that quickly. I know. Sorry. Exciting searching on my Bing profile. Yeah, that thing there.
Oh, there you go.
But
Yeah. I'm just like, is that what they were trying to
Well, that's a
do?
very cool character design,
Oh,
also.
God, close your tabs.
So
Yeah, how
wait
do
a
you
minute.
manage
So
40
video.
tabs?
So this was not even like the point of the ceremony, is what you're saying? It was just like someone doing this?
Just there.
Just
Yeah, how
somebody is
someone's
part of
dressed,
the RuPaul Drag Race team is just dressed up as a hideous goblin throughout the ceremony.
Sweet.
I mean, beautiful, but
Yeah.
yeah,
They've got
grotesque.
inner
Like you
beauty.
do.
The work
Yeah.
is admirable.
Admirable.
Wow.
But also, like, there was some weird, like, random technical and audience reaction stuff throughout the ceremony. I remember there was that one where just some random lady started shouting when they announced who was going to get what categories were up next, and she was just like, "Ah!" And even Andy Anderson was just like, "Who the heck was that?"
Somebody's mom.
Yeah.
Tryout. Yeah.
And then, if I remember, I remember they were doing the "I Love Lucy" bit with Natasha Lyonne. They got that one little cutaway to Steve Martin looking very unimpressed
I
until he
know.
noticed the camera was on. He was like, "Oh, ha, 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 ha! That's so funny."
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Mm.
It's like I'm reading all of this and I'm like, I'm not actually seeing it. So I'm like, what causes Steve Martin to look unimpressed with something?
A very
Right.
lame
He's such a nice
reenactment of
guy
the-
too, though.
Yeah, a very lame reenactment of the famous "I Love Lucy" scene with the chocolate.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
like
he
they
had
were
to be
fun-
in on
they were
that.
they were charming because it's Natasha Lyonne and Tracee Ellis Ross, but it's like, yeah, the joke was just they pretty much stopped doing the scene and started just chewing on the chocolate and throwing it around. It's like,
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what Ethel and Lucy did too.
Exactly.
But there was actually,
I'm like,
like-
that's the bit.
yeah, but there was comedic timing. At some point, they were just like, F it. They were just starting to eat the chocolate just normal. Also, I noticed there was some flubs in their technical stuff, like the video feeds were starting to cut out at one point. Like they had frozen frames, and freaking F.
Yeah.
Murray Abraham got blurred because like they didn't start the video properly, so they didn't actually say his name when they announced the nominees.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was weird because like the screen froze, and it was like, nah, Abraham, Theo James. I'm like, wait, you just skipped
Wait a
over.
minute.
F. Murray- Ugh.
Equivalent of what they did with Elizabeth Debicki in the Globes, where they were off time and they scared the hell out of her.
Well, because not only that, the volume was like cranked up like 3 decibels higher, and there's like Elizabeth Debicki. She was like, it's like God calling her to announce her nomination.
Oh, Princess Diana.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it was a very safe ceremony, which, you know, it just is what it is. It's the Emmys.
Was there anyone
That's
other
what
than
they
the
wanna
Saul
go with
crowd
now.
that you guys wanted to win? I wanted all the Saul noms
Well,
to win. But
why don't we
I guess
just
not.
talk about the winners? So here we go.
I can
Starting
tell you
from
guys were so okay with that the whole time.
the
Yeah.
He
You know what?
almost
totally.
died for that performance. He literally did die, was resuscitated. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, and then finished the performance.
Well, you could
I mean,
probably
you're not-
blame nobody more than,
yeah, you're not wrong.
and that's not a joke.
But apparently, people just like the bedwetter from Home Alone a lot more than a dude who almost died for his art.
Yep. Yeah,
I think
no,
that
that's
was a
totally how it
supporting
works.
role. Also, like
Yeah.
Romulus
Any-
has always been a supporting role. That's literally the text of the show.
Anyway, starting off with the writing categories. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of this repeated, people, but The Bear, Succession, and Beef won writing for each of their categories. And also, oh my goodness, John Oliver was nominated and won for writing in a variety series. Who could have saw that?
What other variety series are there these
You
days?
don't sound thrilled.
Well, he's won it 8 years in a row, so it's kind of hard to be
Yeah.
excited for it.
They
Oh
just
my-
have him pre-engraved with his name on it.
Pretty much. I don't think he's
Him
excited.
and RuPaul, they just come with their names already on it. They don't even bother. The other nominations are just a formality.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was the thing
yeah.
too with RuPaul, where I'm like, look, I'm happy for RuPaul, but also it's just not exciting anymore to see RuPaul on stage.
She's
Yeah.
probably bored of it as well.
I mean, to be fair, I think he just a couple of weeks ago did his first segment on Elon Musk. So I'm like, yeah, he keeps himself relevant.
Sure,
Well,
I
that's
mean,
good.
he clearly researches his stuff, so I mean, sure, he
Yeah.
can win writing for that stuff. It is nice though to see Senate Live's reign end because now they're being forced to compete against the other variety categories because they merged variety sketch series with regular variety shows. So Yep,
Oh, that's
Saturday Night
cool.
Live is not going to be dominating no more on this
Uh,
one. Yeah. Now, out of all the nominees for writing and this stuff, I'm going to say this. Next year's Emmys are going to be interesting since so many of these were final seasons or shows that are taking breaks this next year. And especially just for writing in a comedy series, I feel so sad because Jury Duty was like the funniest show of that whole bunch because it's an actual comedy. Half of these are not even funny shows.
Yeah, I agree. I really love Jury Duty.
Uh,
I never saw it. I heard it was good.
oh, it's
Yeah.
hilarious. Like it's one of those shows where I love it. It's so good. They can never make a second season because the gimmick wears
Right.
off immediately when you know what's going on.
No.
I'm pretty
Okay,
sure
so-
they literally can't make a second season.
It's like Borat. Like they made a sequel to Borat, but
Right.
normally it's a bad idea because there's no surprise anymore when you know what the twist is.
right.
Right. Well, that's what I was told about this. It's like I heard that it was a setup
Yep.
sort of thing where it's like the only people who are aware of it are James Marsden and the supporting actors. Everybody else is completely unaware that
No.
this is supposed to be a gag.
Everybody but the main dude is in on it. Like literally, the main guy is the only
so
person
it's the
not
complete
in on the
opposite.
joke.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, okay. But it's like, yeah, so even so, in this day and age, like once it's been put out there, then everyone becomes aware of it and there's just no
Yep.
keeping it a secret.
Yep, yeah, that's the problem because that was the whole gimmick. And the thing that worked so well is that guy they picked was the perfect person they could have found because he played along with everything with a total straight face, and he was totally invested in the story that they created for him. He was adorable. I doubt they could ever find someone that charming, for another season.
The only
Yeah.
thing they could do is the same premise, but an entirely different conceit to it.
Mhm.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
they
yeah,
have
you couldn't even just get a different guy because it's like just the gimmick is out there. It's like
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
got it.
I'd
Yeah.
be so
But-
sad though if James Marsden wasn't in season 2.
Oh,
He can't be.
Nobody shows up.
I know he can't be. It
Oh,
wouldn't make
man,
sense,
James
but he was
Marsden,
so
like-
good.
it's some
You
of
know,
the
it would be
funniest stuff he's
funny.
done in years.
If he was the one not in on the joke next time, that's the
That would be
only way
good.
Feeling
they
that
can
he's
pull it
got to
off.
be like the most suspicious person in the world right now. He's just like,
Yep.
Yeah.
someone's gonna flip the joke.
But that's what makes it so funny is how James Marsden is playing he's essentially doing that like thing that all celebrities do where they play the dickhead versions of themselves kind of thing. That's what made it so funny where it's like, this is the James Marsden if you don't actually know who James Marsden is kind of thing.
I love that.
Oh, he was so funny. I have to ask, Brad knows. Rose, did you see Jury Duty?
I have not, but I heard it was really good. I need to
Okay,
watch
I was
it.
going to say this, Brad. The part that made me and Lexi like almost pee ourselves laughing was the bit when they're jumping on the bed. You
Yeah.
know that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to see if you watch that show, you'll know that scene when it happens. It's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Well, I just keep wondering, what if he was all like, "Sure, I guess I'll go with you." Like, what would they have done?
Oh, I don't want to spoil it, but yes. Oh my.
Yeah. It's absurd.
I am
Yeah,
but-
intrigued.
Okay.
Oh, it's great, and it's free. It's on Freebie through Amazon. So
Oh my god, you're
Oh,
kidding.
is it? I
yeah,
had to
well, that's the
watch it
big deal is that
on,
it was the first
Wow.
what
Freebie
was it?
series ever nominated for an Emmy. So
Well, there goes my
Cool.
excuse.
okay, there you go. I still have never heard of the other two. I'm assuming it's a good show.
I've
I
heard
don't
it's
know what that is
great, but
either.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's some show on Max that's just apparently been going on for years, and no one's paid attention to it until now.
Other
So-
than Birdman,
And it's been
subjects
on
about
since
fame killing people
2019?
makes me sad.
oh, sorry, was that Melina?
I was like, it's on. I'm sorry, Brad, I couldn't hear you.
Mhm.
Didn't mean to interrupt. I just like I didn't realize it was on since 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a couple
It's
shows like
popular now.
I keep seeing commercials now of shows like, all right, season 3 of this show. I'm like, this is the first time I've ever
It's
heard
my
of it.
understanding that there's these 3 people, and one of them they're like related, and one of them is a big star and great, but loves his 2 siblings so much. But the 2 siblings are like, "Yep, and we're also here in this family."
Ah, okay.
Aw.
Okay, so it's kind of like well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's like that.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
yeah,
Succession.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I was really, really sick last month and I still have a lingering cough from it, but
Oh,
yeah. it's just
was
one of
was
those-
it the vid?
No, actually, it was just
Like a
some really
cocktail?
intense cold.
Oh,
I
man.
thought I had
Okay.
COVID, but I thankfully didn't. Because I already had COVID once and I already know what that feels like.
Oh, damn.
But directing, oh looky, The Bear, Succession, and Beef.
Oh my god.
I've seen all
Hulu's
those.
Color me surprised.
I know. Yeah. Now I've not seen Beef, but I mean, everyone says how good it is, and it swept the big categories for limited, at least in terms of lead, writing, directing, and series. So good for them. Uh, I guess yeah. To say anything special about the other nominees too, you know what? I will give credit to Wednesday for reviving Tim Burton's career because you know
In a
he was
positive
stuck.
way for once.
Yeah, no,
I mean-
I'm serious. I actually like.
Yeah.
I genuinely liked Wednesday. I thought it's silly and it's very straightforward, but it did what it was supposed to do, and I enjoyed what it was, kind of thing.
I mean, silly has always been the word that I've associated with Tim Burton, other than, you know, extremely gothic and kooky. But
Oh, it's
that's
all
what
that
he
too.
does in
Family.
spades. And
Yeah.
that's like, I think that's what made this work
Oh
so
yeah.
well.
I still love how Prey was up for directing and writing for a limited series. You're like a Predator movie up for those things.
Series, yeah. That
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first time it popped up in the nominations, my first thought was, yeah, the Predator movie, and I thought, no, that's a movie, and that also came out like almost 3 years ago. But then no, the second time they showed it, definitively showed the clip from like the main character, and I was like, oh wait, what?
Yeah, because Dan Trachtenberg was up for directing it. So, which
Dan
love Dan
Trachtenberg
Trachtenberg.
always directs wonderfully. Didn't he do
Still one of
the?
those-
And maybe I'll put my shoe in my mouth here. Did Dan
You should-
Trachtenberg direct the pilot of The Boys as well?
yes, he did it. So,
He did,
That's
yeah.
the best episode, in my opinion.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I
And
just,
then
I
he did.
can't,
I love season 1.
I just can't believe that it never, I mean, that's the thing about Prey. It's like every time I see it get nominated in the Emmys, I'm like, that's right. It never got a single theatrical release.
And you know why?
Which is crazy.
Because of Shane Black. Because the
That's-
Predator bombed super hard. So.
Mm.
I think you should blame the studios and not Shane Black.
Well, but I'm saying in the sense that
they could have
because of
taken
how
how do you not take a risk on Dan Trachtenberg?
I mean, that's the problem though. Is just they were just too scared because they had just gotten acquired by Disney, and it was untested. The Predator's track record was bad, but now that it did well, I mean, it did fairly well with streaming numbers for them. So, and I think they said they were greenlighting some kind of sequel or follow up to it. So,
I
10
hope so.
Cloverfield Lane was also
Yes,
awesome.
well, they should.
oh, 10 Cloverfield Lane is great. Now,
Yeah.
Prey did win an Emmy for sound editing, so it didn't go home empty-handed completely. So, good for them.
Fantastic. I mean, the
Yeah.
sound editing on that is incredible.
Yep. Now, also, of course, Succession, the episode that won the Emmy for directing and writing was Connor's Wedding, which, I mean, unquestionably was the best episode of that whole season. So,
Yeah, and even though I didn't care much for the final season or any season after 4, when
this is the fourth season.
Oh, it is the 4th season.
There
was a point- There was a
Care for
point
any after
when
the
watching
4th.
it where my brain was all like, Brad, you don't care who gets this company. And I was like, you're right, but I guess I'll stick it out.
That is the
all
only
that.
thing I'll
Connor's
agree.
Wedding, I would recommend everybody watch
Oh, yeah.
because this is
Oh,
like
man.
an insanely well done episode about a particular event that all of us will go through.
Oh
Mhm.
man. Oh,
And,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So-
We won't say what it is since, since you haven't seen it, but it's,
yeah.
it's the big moment you're expecting to happen. And when it does happen, it's done
I was
with
caught off
such-
guard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's done with
I'm-
such
yeah.
seriousness. Yeah.
But
it's
you're-
And
really
I
good.
would ask you why you didn't love the final season, but that would probably take too
Because
long.
I'm not on
I
Brad's
just didn't
side.
care
About
who
that
got the
one.
company after it's the show as if someone said let's rewatch Succession, I'd be like pass. I don't care who get. I don't
only
care about
thing-
this company.
The only thing I'll agree with Brad on is that the final episode, it's not my favorite finale from this last season because the show kind of evolved past its initial premise about who got the company. It's the same problem Game of Thrones had, where it's like, it doesn't really matter who gets the throne.
Like
but
who will get
unfortunately,
the Iron Throne? Like by season 4, again with saying season 4, I was like, I don't care. I don't care who gets the Iron Throne. But then when we find out who does, it turns out I did care, and I thought that was a terrible decision.
Exactly.
yeah.
Would you say it
You
jumped?
had a better story
The
than
way
literally
that-
everyone else.
No, the thing with Melina is that it
nothing-
didn't jump the
nothing jumps the
shark. It's
shark,
just one of those
no.
things where it's like, well, that was pretty obvious where it was going to go. Kind of thing.
Well,
like it was
and-
still,
sometimes you're just kind of like,
like,
well, it's
if-
inevitable where this has to go. It's just how you get there.
It was
that's the
just
thing that
started
people
making
notice
me
is that-
mad, but mad at not anything the show was doing wrong or right, because the show
Yeah.
it's a great show, especially in the writing. Mad in the sense that if aliens started attacking, I'd be like, oh, here we go, something unexpected. But that would make no
Well, then
sense.
it would
You
be
know
a
what I
Game of-
mean?
then it would be Game
that
of
be a
Thrones
bad choice.
season 8.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
No, it would be if aliens showed up and the way they beat it was using like Kieran Culkin's dick pic that he sent to his dad, and that made
Yeah.
all the aliens' brains explode or
Oh.
something.
That was pretty funny. That was a pretty funny moment in the show.
Yeah,
And then
but no,
TNT would be like, we just hope the audience would forget that we never set that up.
yeah, no, but here's like you notice none of the episodes they submitted for Succession was the finale episode. It was all earlier episodes because yeah, the finale was just fine. It wasn't the best. It was good, not great. But then of course for The Bear, it was Review and System, the pilot episode that both dominated with their wins. So I mean, those are two of the best episodes, so I'm not surprised.
I watch The Bear all the time. I rewatch The Bear all the time. I know people who have been in that industry, which is a service to others through food. My wife and mother-in-law are entrepreneurs for their own restaurant, and I love The Bear so much. And I am willing now to watch Andor and actually finish it because of Eben Moss on The Bear. He's incredible, and I hear he makes an appearance in that show.
If he
Yes,
did,
he
I
does.
don't remember where, but
He's skiing in Andor, and I'm not going to say anything more than that because you should watch it, Brad.
yeah, he still should. No, I mean, I will say that we'll get to him because that was one of the surprises that I didn't expect to happen during the Emmys. But going up here, okay, supporting actors and the stuff in limited series. Again, not unexpected, but still super good. Nicey Nash Betts won for Dahmer, which good. She was really great in that show.
Yeah.
And then Paul Walter Hauser for Blackbird, which I remember now was one of the more interesting parts of the ceremony because I don't know if he expected not to win because right before they announced his name, he put something really big in his mouth and started chewing it. And then
he was eating.
he just had to awkwardly kiss his wife with a mouthful of food and chew while he was walking up to the stage.
I've enjoyed him in everything that he's been in.
Oh, he's great. He's a really good actor, and it's just a shame people typecast him because he's funny and fat, It's like, but he was great in Blackbird. Like, honestly, Blackbird's a good show, but it's worth watching specifically for him and Taron Egerton. So,
I will say that he did mention Richard Jenkins. He gave Richard Jenkins an official shout out.
he gave a shout out to The Visitor. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm married.
That
I have
is a
17
shout-out.
kids. But I love Richard Jenkins so much. So I was
I know.
completely
He's
okay with his
actor,
win
so.
because he shouted out Richard Jenkins. He was in Dahmer, right?
And then he rapped his speech, which was funny too. So
that seems so peculiar. I was reading that like, why is this rhyming?
Oh, it's good times. As for and then supporting actor in drama series, I mean, it's Matthew McFadden again for Succession, which you know what? I know you will protest, Brad, but he really
was
good
3 times now? Is that seriously 3 Emmys for Succession? Okay, 2.
Yeah, no, he won last season and this season, which again, it became very clear, and I think they realized too how much he and Greg were dominating so much of the story that because they're just great, so they just gave him so much more to work with. And Matthew McFadden's a great actor, so I'm not surprised, kind of thing.
And I agree with that too. Yeah.
The one that kind of disappointed me was Jennifer Coolidge winning for White Lotus, not because she's
was that
bad
also
in it.
2?
Oh, sorry
for her. That's also 2 Emmys
it's her
for
second
White
one.
Lotus? Okay.
But the
Well,
problem
she's
is,
been sweeping for that.
yeah, and she's great in the show. It's just sad because you're like Rhea Seehorn, Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, Elizabeth got the Golden Globe.
Yep. And Rhea Seehorn got nothing.
One of the most compelling characters ever written for a role for a woman to play, and they were like, "No, Ray, it's like the Emmys thought she should be a mom, and that's it. That's all that."
And Better Call Saul pretty much getting nothing. Like it won one short form category award for a mini thing they did, but it's not won a single Emmy. That's just shocking.
What do you think it is, Melina?
Angry tonight.
I think that it's multiple season effect. Personally, it's like the longer that a show has been on, it's like the more they feel like if you haven't gotten an award by this point, the less we feel like we have to give it to you.
It's either that or, oh, this has been on so long and we haven't given it anything. Let's give it everything. You either get a Better Call Saul or a Schitt's Creek with no in between.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I think Rhea Seehorn's like Emmy, like Glenn Close, how she's always brilliant, but they're like, sorry, Glenn Close, we don't actually like you.
Yeah, and I think the problem too is that
I'm
Better
thinking
Call
about
Saul. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say Better Call Saul also came out a long time ago, like last year or so.
Oh,
I
that's
think
true.
Yeah.
recency bias is a huge problem there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking of something like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel effect, where it's kind of like they will give Tony Shalhoub the award like maybe like 2 to 3 seasons in, and they'll keep nominating him, but they're like, yeah, we're not going to give it to you. Like, we're just doing this as like a commemoration.
Well, he did win for Mrs. Maisel too for second season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you keep nominating them for like the later seasons, but then like the
Oh,
longer
I
it goes along, the less likely they are to win.
Yeah. No, fair. Moving on then. One surprise I was very happy with. Not only did Ayo Edebiri won for supporting actress in The Bear, but Evan Moss Baccarat won for The Bear. Yeah, he's great in that show. So
Now, do
good.
either of you watch The Bear, Melina, Rose?
I've not
I
seen it
have
yet.
not yet.
Oh,
He plays this character named Richie. By the end of season 1, in my heart, I felt Richie is a poison. You got to get rid of the poison if you're going to have a successful business. By the end of season 2, my trifling ass was cheering for Richie. And I have never seen a show portray such a on the surface level meathead jerk as a layered, complex human being with his own character motivations, problems, trauma, and goals like the Bear has. And Eben Moss Baccarat is outstanding.
Yeah.
well, what makes
So I'd
him so
recommend it.
good? What makes it so good is that it's clearly a role that was written with a Jason Mantzoukas type in mind, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because that's
Mhm.
more or less what he's playing for the good chunk of the show. Until, like Brad said, when they start to really delve into his background and his character, you're like, wow, he's actually pretty good at doing the drama as much as he is doing the goofy comedy bits. Because on the whole, The Bear not being really much of a comedy, he's like the funniest part of the show, where he's got all the big jokes and gags, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then they really explore him, and you're like, nah, he's great. He's a really good actor.
From the outside looking at him, it's like, man, people really have to put up with Richie and his antics. But when you step inside to this family, you slowly realize, wow, Richie puts up with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, that justifies so much
you
of
both
his
should probably
behavior.
binge both seasons.
So it's
a
like the
couple of
Lost
times.
effect, where it's like you think you hate them, and then they're like, "Well, let me give you this little backstory," and you're like, "Oh,
I don't
Yeah,
know. I
but-
stopped watching
I
after
get
the
it."
hatch.
Well,
When
so the thing
nothing
is
was
with
in the hatch, I bailed.
like it's very piecemeal.
Fair enough.
Because the Bear is so short, it's
Yeah.
piecemealed what you learn about him. But yeah, it's a similar effect. Now also Ayo Edebiri, she's like my favorite character in the whole show. So I'm
She's
glad
so
she won.
good.
She's
Oh,
had an
yeah.
amazing year too, and so many
yeah.
different things.
She won the Golden
So good in
Globe. She
theater
won an
camp.
Emmy. Yeah, she's
Theater Camp, Bottoms, April
She
O'Neil.
was in
all
everything
right.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good for her. Lead actor in a limited series. Again, Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong won for Beef because they
I think
won
they
literally
should
everything else.
collaborate all the time now. That's how
Mhm.
much I enjoyed the Beef. I know it's a
Yeah.
hard show to watch because it's got a lot of, I wouldn't say icky pants, but things that I personally don't understand. Like my wife, she drives a car, I drive a car. My kids have experienced my wife being cut off in traffic, and they've experienced me being cut off in traffic. And they've said to my wife, "How come you're not patient like dad?" And I've been like, "Whoa." Because if there's
Yeah.
no accident, I'm like, well, that happened. And then I just move on my day. So an entire show based on an almost traffic accident leading to horrific, terrible escalations of, well, you'll have to see, is a strange premise to me at least, but a lot of people seem to get it. And
Yeah.
even though I couldn't relate necessarily, I loved watching these two kind of try to destroy each other's lives.
I mean,
Well,
I've had car accidents. I wish I could relate, but
well, and it's
I wish that they were positive.
it's great to see Stephen Yeun, as I mentioned in the chat, like how he's evolved since leaving Walking Dead, where he's got an Oscar nomination, he's won an Emmy now, he's just really dominating, And
Has
Also,
he
it
gotten nominated
was-
for a Tony yet?
no, but I'm sure he probably would get to that point. I have
Yeah.
Yeah. It was sweet to see Ali Wong and Bill Hader out openly as a couple now too.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean
wow,
that
for
was
real?
that was at least one positive of Beef sweeping everything. Is every time they cut to Ali Wong, I got to look at Bill Hader. So
I thought that was all rumors. That's awesome.
No, because Ali Wong divorced her husband, her husband, and then her.
I remember that. I remember that. There was a huge scandal behind that because people kept posting Ali Wong divorced from her husband, and it was her standing next to someone she worked with, not her husband, like another
Oh my
Asian
God.
actor she worked with.
Yeah.
And then she like responded to
Responsible
all these tweets.
journalism.
That's not my husband, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I loved her Golden Globes. I loved her Golden Globe speech where she thanked her. You know,
Yeah.
that was like the one person she thanked. She was like, it's like, I'm a working mom because of you, and you're my best friend.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought that was sweet.
Yeah, it's sad when you see couples break up like that, but at least she could be, mature about it.
Strange and confusing that couples would be friends after a breakup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And then for lead actor in drama series, again, Kieran Culkin and Sarah Snook, they were the ones predicted, and it was just so obvious they would win.
I think okay. So Karen's the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Brian Cox should have been a lead that season?
No.
Okay.
No, but just without spoiling it, Brian Cox is not in that season that much. So
I do like Pedro Pascal's nom also.
Well, I suspect the reason why is because Brian Cox didn't want to downgrade because he's like, no, I've been a lead every season.
Okay.
Yeah. And from what I've heard,
you almost said a Brian Cox swear.
Well, come on, you know that. How dare you insult me, Bradley? You ingrate, you monster, you mongrel. No, but
serious people.
Even I get that one.
And I'll admit too that I liked Kieran Culkin's performance, even though Jeremy Strong's fantastic. I did like that Kieran won over Jeremy as well.
Yeah. Well, Kieran had such a stronger season this season than Jeremy did. Like Jeremy was still great in it, but Kieran really got to pull out his depths of his acting ability, I think, in this one.
Yeah.
Especially
wait for a year from now when I come back and I'm like, I completely agree with both of you.
And Kieran Culkin, a lot of people don't know this. I think Kieran Culkin is the best actor in Scott Pilgrim as Wallace Wells as far as the adaptation of that character goes. I think he's perfect.
He does do a good job in that movie. So
I won't disagree.
Yeah, I really like him. I mean, as bummed as I was that Bill Hader lost, I really like Kieran Culkin, so I can't complain too terribly much.
Well, Bill Hader's in
Yeah.
different category,
Bob Odenkirk lost.
but the fact that Bob Odenkirk lost, that's the thing.
Yeah, Bob, sorry, different category.
Yeah.
Wow,
I was
it
like,
was weird.
wait, which one of your boyfriends didn't win?
It was weird that I confused Barry for being a drama for a second. I don't know where I get that idea.
Oh
I
yeah,
know,
that's
right?
strange. No one's ever made that mistake.
Especially that final season.
I think I did laugh more at the final season of Better Call Saul than I ever did at the last season of Barry.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
the last season of Barry, I'm like, just during the Golden Globes, every time they would come to Barry or Bill Hader, I'm like, yeah, comedy. I'm like, I think you guys are confused.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm the one.
Also, Michael
I'm the one who
Mando's
got that
back.
wrong.
Oh, yeah. No, and then Sarah Snook, I mean, she had one of her best seasons this season, too, because she really got a lot more to do this season.
Just
So,
looking
good
over
for her.
these other actresses real quick.
I mean, honestly, out of all the people nominated, it was only really going to be like Bella Ramsey, maybe, who would be a competitor,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna do the.
I picked Sarah
countdown,
Snook
but
as the winner out
Family
of
friendly.
this character, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No one wanted to nominate her because of her foul potty mouth in that show.
I remember a couple of months ago where I thought that nobody was going to get anything over the people in The Last of Us. I was like, they were locked for everything.
No,
And then
that's one of those things where I like Last of Us a lot, but I was like, if it does get up for Emmys, it's going to be an also ran in any major categories, except for Nick Offerman, who absolutely deserved to win because he was
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Now,
Oh,
Melanie
God.
Linsky was also in The Last of Us as a
And she
vile-
was not one of the best parts, and yet they nominated her for it.
I like the
So-
performance.
No,
but
I'm
yeah,
for Yellow Jackets.
it's
I
nominated
loved
for
her.
Yellow Jackets, yeah.
Well, in Yellow Jacket, she's fine, but in Last of Us, I was just like, her character is kind of.
Well, it was just 2 episodes is all.
Speaking
Yeah,
of Yellow Jackets,
it's the first time since Heavenly Creatures Melanie Linsky frightening.
yeah.
Yeah, except she's also really not like in Yellow Jacket. She's intimidating, but in Last of
Yeah.
Us, I'm like, she's really not intimidating at
Well, all you need is a gun and a goon to be kind of a boss
Yeah.
in The Last
Yeah.
of Us.
How did
Yeah.
Yellow Jacket season 2 get nominated for best anything?
I
you
have
didn't
heard
like
that
it?
I haven't
season.
seen it.
I heard the season wasn't that great. So
Oh boy,
anyway,
hot takes.
and then lead comedy stuff. I mean, Jeremy Allen White's not a surprise because even he they kept cutting back to him after he won, and he clearly was just like, "Look, I got my Emmy. I'm done. I just want to get out of here."
Yeah.
I knew I had it before I walked in here.
No, he did. I mean, he won the Golden Globe that first time he won the Golden Globe, then the second time last week when he won it. So it's just like, yeah, no surprises there. But you know what? Hooray for Quinta Brunson. She won for Abbott Elementary. Woo!
Yeah,
Now,
the
Abbott
first
Elementary, I
black actress
also
to
love.
do so in 40 years, apparently.
Wow.
Is that the case?
Wow.
Wow.
No, I didn't
Hey,
know
I'm 40 years old.
that.
It's one of those statistics where it's like, wow, that's really cool. Wow, we need to do better.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like how Abbott Elementary is. You laugh at the joke and then you go, "Aw."
Well, you know, I think now that a bunch of these shows are ending, it's going to be really good for shows like Abbott Elementary to get better represented next year. Because,
Yeah.
you know, last year, Abbott
Yeah.
did really well at the Emmys, where it won for writing and a couple other categories, you know?
Some acting categories too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
quiet this year. Really quiet presence.
Yeah, no,
Season
it pretty much
one
only
was
won
amazing.
this. I don't think it won any other awards. So,
Mm.
and then of course for the best of all the major series, I don't know anything about the Elton John special, so good for him. You know, it's one of
I'm
those things.
sure it was amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Should have been Chris Rock, but
I enjoyed that stand up too.
Yeah. Last week tonight with John Oliver again. Oh my, he won that series again.
Yeah,
Repeat
they just
winners are
come pre-engraved.
boring.
Yep. Talk series was kind of surprised for Trevor Noah winning.
oh,
Yeah, I did not
that is
expect that. I'm like,
surprising.
the thing is, I'm so not in tune.
Isn't
with
he
talk shows lately.
retiring from that show?
Oh, what?
He
He's
already
been gone.
has. It's been like a
Oh, he already
year.
has.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's like
Okay.
they announced. When did they announce these nominees? It was like how many months ago?
It was last summer.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, like
That,
all of
that's
these.
the thing.
Oh,
Th-
okay.
This year, a lot of the nominations were for things that aired damn near 2 years or more ago because of weird
yeah.
like academy math and calendar stuff and bringing
Well-
the strike into it. I don't fully
The
understand
strike,
it. That's just
yeah.
what I've been
Well,
told.
so the reason why is because historically speaking, the seasons for TV shows are the fall, winter, and the spring season. And so summer was that time to like recount all the stuff because it's like, oh, we had the two major seasons of television. But that's the weird thing where because of the strike and all the delays, that's what makes it so awkward. We're like, so which season of The Bear won the Emmy? Oh, right, the first season, you know. kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you're like, is that the season that I am seeing the nomination for?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like that was the thing for me. It's like when I saw that the Emmys were tonight, I thought they were tomorrow. I remember thinking, I was like, I saw this. I thought I saw the nominations for these months ago to the point where I was like, I think that I maybe misremembered. It's like, I think that might have been last year because Andor was 2 years ago at this point.
More or less.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I really slept on that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my
So-
litmus test.
Yeah, pretty much. And then RuPaul's Drag Race again. Oh my, RuPaul won again.
Is that 15 years?
Keep going, girly girl.
Well, I think they said it's like his 7th or 8th year straight. I'm not sure what RuPaul's gender pronoun is. I just want to be safe with that. But
No,
Well,
I
when
believe that
she's going
RuPaul's
by
very
RuPaul,
fluid
it's
with
her.
it. Yeah.
okay, all right, right. So
Yeah.
but just saying that also, it's not a surprise seeing them win anymore. It's just like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
of course they win. And then of course, Beef, Bear, and Succession won. So yeah. Now it's going to be interesting because of the shows for drama that are going to compete next year. Let's see, Succession's not going to be there. Andor's not going to be there because they're still making season 2. Not Better Call Saul. I don't think The Crown. I think was this Ford's last season, or I don't
That
know.
was
I
the
believe
last
it's
one.
last season right now. Yeah.
I really hope this season of The Crown doesn't get nominated for anything.
Everybody seems
Yeah.
to
I mean-
hate it.
It will because, it will because of how everyone is obsessed with the royal family. But
Yeah, but even a lot of people have just kind of turned off that season. But yeah, a lot of these will not be coming back because they didn't come out with a new season before the deadline, or they won't have a new season. House of Dragon will come back next season because that's going to premiere. So it's going to be
Oh,
interesting to
that's
see what
good.
next year's selection looks like.
Very excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, heck, Last of Us season 2 is still already casting and is still casting to this point, so they haven't even started. Which, hey, funny Beef crossover. They have young Mazzino from Beef who's going to play Jesse in this season, so that's going to be cool.
Oh my god.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the casting's been interesting because on the one hand, he looks exactly like Jesse, so he fits. The girl they play who's going to play Abby is Caitlin Deaver, who is the exact opposite of Abby physically. So it's like, yeah, tall, muscular mini Hulk, and then tiny waitfish Caitlin Deaver.
Yeah,
So,
Caitlin Deaver. Yeah.
yeah. And then I think they cast some other actress for the girlfriend character. I don't remember her name now, but it's going to be interesting to see how season 2 shapes out. Hopefully the story's better structured than the game was, but that's
I was like, I don't want to spoil a single thing about it. I just hope that they do better than the game.
Yeah, the game. The thing I've said about the game in terms of its narrative, it's directed really well in terms of the moment-to-moment action. The story's plot and structuring is what kills it for me, because I'm like, you don't go through a giant part of the story and then slam the brakes at the climax and do another 8 hours of gameplay to catch up to that point.
I hear it's better on replay once you're prepared for that.
Sure, but I feel like in the show they might do better if they do parallel.
Yeah, I think so too.
Back and forth.
Yeah,
that's my.
And is it Druckmann who wrote the games?
Yes.
Whatever you call that person.
it's
He doesn't seem to be
Druckmann
very. He doesn't have like a death grip on the narrative either. He seems to be very open to collaborate and make the best show possible.
Well, I mean,
which I've appreciated.
He collaborated. He was the only writer on the first Last of Us, but then he became more collaborative as he went along later with the game too. So,
cool.
But then same with comedy series. I mean, what? Jerry Dude's not going to be there. Barry's not going to be there. Mrs. Maisel, Ted Lasso. It's going to be.
Is there another Only Murderers, or did that also?
Oh no, it's still going.
I think that's still going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see next year's nominees because it's probably going to be a whole different ball game, for a lot of this.
And is Wednesday still going?
Yeah, well, it is, but it will probably not be there next year because they're still making Wednesday season 2. So.
You never know with Netflix.
And everything has been delayed, because of the strikes. So yeah, there's.
Well, and even before the delay, it was just a lot of these shows are so costly now that they take longer than your normal TV show to produce. I mean, House of the Dragon wasn't affected by the strikes because they're British, but even then. That season took a long time to develop. It's been about 1.5 years, I think, since the last season. So,
it does look incredibly
they're big
expensive.
budget too, so like they take their time.
Super expensive. There's so many. There's so many more dragons.
Yeah. Also, why was Obi-Wan Kenobi nominated for best miniseries?
There's a house of them.
Why was he nominated for anything?
Now, is Andor nominated too?
Yes, it was up for drama.
It was.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And it should have won, in my opinion, but that's because I am who I am and I love Star Wars.
I don't think I hated Obi-Wan, but that's because I like it when shows kind of discredit his character and expose him as kind of a fraud.
That
makes me sound bad.
Brad.
Yeah, I don't think you saw.
Really? He's all like, "Oh, boo-hoo, Anakin, I'm so sorry." Boo.
He should be.
Yeah,
I don't think that was on him. He was a child soldier manipulated by Jedi to be this perfect teacher. That's not fair.
Well, I mean,
all the things political about.
What makes it so sad, though, Bradley, is that is a big part of the plot, but it's not enough of the plot to justify it. Because if it had been a movie like they planned and that part was the only focus of it, it would have been great. It's just that we had to deal with all the dumb baby Leia stuff that they had to do in the story.
I liked baby Leia. You just need to watch it with little kids.
The problem is they wrote
all my little kids also liked baby Leia and her baby robot. What was
baby
that
Leia
called?
Did not need to be there. And yes, I have seen a 2-hour cut of that film, or I have seen a 2-hour cut of that series, and the less baby Leia is in it, the better.
Yep.
Now I'm not going to fight that she kind of and not her fault. She's a kid, but she does break canon a couple of times that makes people scratch their heads. Yeah, the writing. Yeah,
Leia
I agree. The writing is
at all.
It's a bit wonky. Like it makes you question things.
Well, and then there's all the dumb stuff like the side quest with Camille Nanjiani's character, the underwater prison facility they went to,
serve no purpose. Yeah.
The stuff with Reva was kind of pointless too. It's just,
for me, when I heard Obi-Wan series, I thought, hey, let's find out what Obi-Wan's got going on in his life after that horrible thing happened. But they refuse to do any
Mhm.
show like that. It always has to come back to Skywalkers.
And of course,
the-
it always, like all these shows, the things you want to see only happen in the last episode or the last half hour.
Yeah.
Like the part where he actually fights Darth Vader is the best part of the show
I didn't
because
want
it's
to
what
see
you
that. We
actually
already saw
wanted to
that.
see.
Oh, we already saw
But it's
that.
ripped straight out of Rebels. It's like right down to the shot of him having his helmet, him having the
Yeah.
saber
The
come down and
scorch
strike his
mark.
helmet. I'm like, that was so that shot is right out of Rebels.
And it
Sure.
looks cool.
I'm just saying, compared
It
to
looks
everything else
very
I've watched
cool.
up to that point, that was the most interesting thing that happened.
Oh, I know.
No,
I was
I do
so
like,
mad because I was like, wow, you're counting on people never having seen that.
I do
And
like
assuming that
Joel
the big
Edgerton
twist,
as Uncle
yeah,
Owen.
and assuming the
I
big
will
twist
say
is
that.
like, oh, that's why he called him Darth in New Hope, because that's so awkward that he called him Darth, except he knew his name, but it's because of this. And it's like, I mean, I'm glad you explained that, but it doesn't do a whole lot.
Did you call me Obi-Wan? That's a name I haven't heard for like a week or
For a
so.
long time. And like in exactly 15 years. But
help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know we teamed up when I was 8, but
and I completely forgot about it.
and
Oh,
also
that
I
ticked
remember
me
mentioning
off,
to
yeah.
Brad how they had to purposely knock out Luke in that one scene so he didn't see Reva's lightsaber.
So that he never saw a lightsaber. Oh, that
Real dumb.
It's very peculiar writing, yeah. But
yeah,
that happens with prequel writing. That's why I thought the Obi-Wan adventure would be something new entirely.
I know,
Yeah.
because I'm like, well, that's the thing. I'm like, honestly, I had to throw the prequels some that one because I was like, wow, you guys actually managed to create something very original, whereas this was just a retread in
Mhm.
ways that made later films not make any sense canonically.
Yeah.
Like the fact that that Leia doesn't know Leia doesn't react when Obi-Wan gets struck down right in front of her. I was like, if she knew him as a kid, why would that not bother her?
Do we know how old she was supposed to be? Like, I know the
She was
actress
like 9
probably.
or 10.
Yeah.
she would definitely remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just dumb.
That's
But
kidding.
yeah, to wind
Right,
down
right,
and talk
yeah.
about the Emmys again, because we could get lost in that one. But yeah, so in terms of the most wins, actually the Bear ended up being the one with the most wins of all the shows this year.
Woo!
Yeah, because it won, let's see, it won 6 major awards tonight, and then it won 4 tech awards last week. So yeah, it won 10 Emmys, which totally deserved.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then Beef and Last of Us tied with 8. Last of Us was all technical wins plus Nick Offerman and Storm Reed winning, which Storm Reed was great. I thought too.
Agree with both those wins, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Beef, it was just mostly like it won, I think, one technical thing, but it was almost all the wins tonight, pretty much. Succession won no technical prizes, but it won all primetime wins with this one.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah. And then everything else kind of was all split between White Lotus, Welcome to Wrexham, which I love. That was actually a great moment. I forgot too when they brought in the cast of Always Sunny to just play themselves talking about the
It
Emmys.
was so great.
Yeah, and it's like Rob McElhaney is just like, I don't know about you guys, but I won an Emmy. I won 5 Emmys.
Yeah.
If
I'm
Ryan
just gonna go
Reynolds though,
backstage and see what I can find.
if Ryan Reynolds is listening, if he could just buy the Dallas Cowboys and I could have a winning season maybe in my lifetime, I appreciate it.
Oh man. And then Wednesday won a few techs. The Michael J. Fox documentary did really well too, apparently.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And it was mostly just kind of scattered stuff for the rest of it. But it was a really good turnout for the big 3 or 4 shows that won this year. Yeah. So that was more or less everything that happened in the Emmys this year. Again, it's a little predictable that pretty much everyone I thought was going to win did win, but I got nothing to complain. Succession, Beef, Bear, and Last of Us, and a bunch of these shows are all really good, and they had good seasons.
Yeah. I'll just have to see a good portion of them.
I know, presumably good shows.
I'm surprised they've seen all of these. I feel kind of good about that.
Yeah, no, okay, fine, Netflix. I will watch Beef. I'll finally watch Beef. You've twisted my arm enough now with these.
My arm got twisted into watching it. I hated the first episode because, like I explained, like really over an almost car accident, really. But then as it went on, I ended up loving it and wanted to know what would happen, and pretty binged it pretty quickly.
Yeah. No, I mean, you didn't miss a whole lot for the other tech wins last week. Again, like I said, Nick Offerman, a few other people. I was really happy. Just a reminder, Poker Face wanted an Emmy because I don't know if Melina and Rose, you've seen Poker Face at all.
I've not. I've known
love
that
Poker
it's like
Face.
Ryan Johnson, and everyone says it's amazing.
It's
like
pretty much
Columbo.
it's literally Columbo, but with Natasha Lyonne as Columbo. So
And all the
fantastic.
guest stars that are involved in the mystery are favorite actors that we all love and would like to see more.
oh yeah, I mean, freaking heck, the opening episode, Adrian Brody is the other dominant guest star in that one. Where you're just like, oh,
okay,
great.
so
And none of them like coasting it. None of them are like, "Hey, it's me, famous character actor." Okay, thanks. You know, like
well, I mean,
like they do on The Simpsons. They're real characters. And it's
and the person who
wonderful.
won was Judith Light, who totally absolutely dominated her episode she was in. So yeah,
I like Judith Light.
It's like a fan favorite episode too.
well,
I
it's
looked
so
into it.
it's one of those episodes that starts off with a really ludicrous premise, but they
Yeah.
absolutely sell it by the end of the episode. You're just like, yeah, no, I believe it. And it's all because of Judith Light and Epetha Murkison, I think her name is.
Is that
both of
on
them.
Peacock? Y'all got Peacock down there, right?
That's where you
I
watch
do.
it on Peacock. Yeah, it's on Peacock,
Yeah.
so totally worth watching. But yeah, no, a lot of good shows this year. I'm excited to see what comes out next year. I mean, so to wind down, I guess, is there anybody that we think are going to show up at next year's Emmys? Because technically, I'm assuming they're going to announce the nominations this summer for the next Emmys. Because, right?
3 months from now.
Pretty much, like 4 or 5 months from now, they're going to get the other nominations for the Emmys. I'm just like. It's so I'm assuming it's just gonna be. I mean, House of the Dragon will probably show up in quite a few categories now that it has no competition.
Well, I guess depending on when it's released, I don't know when it's coming out.
I mean, it seemed like they're gonna try to aim for before the cutoff deadline. I mean, just my expectations for it. I'm assuming.
And I think Andor season 2 is supposed to be dropping around the same time.
Is it? Because I haven't heard.
How much time is there for Andor to be a show before we get to Rogue One? Is it called Rogue One?
So I mean, from what I understand, I think what I read is that it's supposed to. I think it's supposed to start. I think maybe a week before the start of. It's supposed to start like right before.
That must have been a very interesting week because of how much Diego Luna's aged between Rogue One and Andor.
Yes. Now, I'm asking a question that will sound like mockery, but I assure you it's sincere.
Mm-hmm.
But what if Poe Dameron in Andor season 2, he shows up and says, I don't know how to explain it, but somehow Diego Luna's character has returned. And he just walks on screen and is like, I survived the beach.
Yeah.
Would you accept that, or would you be like, really?
I mean,
What about Felicity
I
Jones's
think Poe
character?
Dameron's an infant right now.
Oh,
if
he would
I
be an
could
infant, you're
Somehow get Poe Dameron, Casio Keyboard, and the Mandalorian in one series together, I would not question it in the slightest.
Max Rebo.
Cassian Keep.
Oh,
That's his name, right?
I mean, I would love it if Max Rebo was still alive at this point.
Did Max Rebo die?
Yeah. Oh. Did I just spoil this for someone?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Next
Don't worry
people
about it.
die.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I have to imagine because I mean, there's been shows since the cutoff deadline that have premiered. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I would just say, oh, that should be Emmy nominated.
No, same.
Well, because like
wait,
you said, there's
maybe
going to
I
be
could.
there's going to be so many new starts on this one. It's like we've seen the end of so many of these iconic series, and it's like, all right, well, we know it's going to be a complete new roster. It's just what is that going to look like? I have no idea.
I do recall people saying like because I think The Curse came out after the Emmy deadlines, and people said that show was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Well, I
I
mean,
liked it.
Yeah, and Emma Stone, she's getting a ton of clout right now because of Poor Things, and well deserved.
Emma
Yeah,
Stone's incredible as Whitney on that.
Oh yeah,
Best
and then
performance music.
Invincible. I mean, that technically counts for animation category next year because hasn't
The
gotten
New
any yet.
Adventures of or is it My Adventures with Superman? I enjoyed that a lot as well.
It's fine. That was all right.
I'm not a fan of the tech. How the tech is a problem for Superman and not real organic characters.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at some of the releases from this last year. I think we haven't quite seen the major contenders step up. Just
Oh, I
yet.
really liked I'm a Virgo, but that would never be nominated because it's very, very strange. Boots
Yeah.
Riley comedy.
I think
Yeah,
all
you
the
never
major
know.
contenders are going to be the shows we've already seen that we know are coming back, like The Bear season 2 is going to be nominated and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be mostly what we'll see next year.
Now, Miss Maisel's officially over as well. You said, right?
Yeah, it's not coming back.
Oh yeah, it's definitely done.
That's kind of sad. My mother-in-law, my spouse really loved just the production of that and the comedy, but they really loved how it reminded them of all the beauty in that time period.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I loved it too. I thought it was a good end.
No, I think it'll be. Oh, you know what? I think one show that might slip through the cracks to get some attention. Now there's less competition. I know people really like Slow Horses, so maybe it might start getting some love.
That's Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, Gary Oldman. I just started the
great
first
things about
episode yesterday, and I'm sure it'll pick up. It's a good show so far. So with all these things, I'm like, I'm sure it'll probably merit some a second look from some people.
Is that one a spy thriller?
Yeah, it's the one. It's based on apparently a long series of books I've never read, but it's basically the rejects of MI5 getting caught up in crazy spy situations.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, because literally the first episode is the main character bungling a giant training operation and being pretty much fired without being fired from MI5 and demoted to this pretty much the office across the city that nobody wants to go to kind of thing.
Now, what about Hiddleston for Loki season 2?
Well, it's Loki.
People call me crazy, but I thought he was incredible in that.
I thought his acting
at least
was fine.
finale. At least the finale.
Yeah, no, yeah. I thought his acting was fine. It's just Loki season 2 was also I didn't like as much as season 1, but it was.
Now,
fine.
what out? Hey, I'm prefacing this for some more absurdity. What about they do what the Golden Globes did and look how much streaming happened category. And they nominate One Piece and Loki season 2.
Could you imagine One Piece just shocking everybody with some random best series nomination? You're like,
yeah, I enjoyed it, but yeah.
Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. Maybe this year will finally be the year where a Mike Flanagan horror series will be recognized at the Emmys because Fall of the House of Usher.
Finally.
Did it miss the deadline for this year?
No, because it premiered in October this year. So
yeah, so but it didn't tells me that it probably won't.
No. So that's what I'm saying. So the deadline is the end of May because then the beginning of June is the new season. So House of Fall of Usher is eligible for this upcoming next nomination.
Oh well, there's not going to be a second season.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It hasn't been submitted for first season. So
it didn't get. Oh wow, that's
what I'm saying. Because of
I would nominate Greenwood.
Because of the delays with the Emmys, I'm assuming the nominations for this last year are going to still happen this summer. And technically, Fall of the House of Usher didn't premiere until after these nominations were announced. Back when Brad and I recorded a year ago. Yeah.
I would like to think so because that was my favorite. That was my favorite show of this past year. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it also made my top 10 of the favorite TV shows last year.
I mean, that was the thing. It's like I remember thinking, "Oh, why is it not getting nominated for the Golden Globes?" And I'm like, I get it, but and then I remember, the Emmys, they nominated this well before it came out. But the performances in this, I'm like, okay, Carla Gugino, she should get nominated for Best Supporting, Best Lead. She's incredible in that. Yeah. I hope it's considered for next year.
What a funny thing that Carla Gugino went from being one of our not so beloved actresses to working Mike Flanagan being great in everything she's been in since.
Heck yeah.
Because I remember her back in Watchmen and Race to Witch Mountain. And
Who was she in Watchmen?
I did.
Yeah, remember she had the terrible aging makeup to play the mother of Silk Spectre?
Oh, that's right. Well, she was better than
Silk Spectre.
Mayim Doc
Doc
Wilkerson.
Malin Ackerman.
Yeah, she was better
Yeah.
than her, at least.
Sure, but that was a low bar to clear on that one.
Oh man, that was my favorite part of the comic is so bad in the movie
Yeah.
because of anyways.
But Carla Gugino, ever since she did Gerald's Game and those shows, she's been getting better and better for sure. So
Oh my god. Well, I mean, ever since she's gotten involved again, I'm like, everything she's done has just been
Gerald.
incredible.
oh yeah,
Gerald's Game is so gross.
I love
I love
Yes.
And
Deep
nobody knew
loving.
the game was going to be good for that very same reason. And then it turned out to be one of the best adaptations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. Other than its very strange extended ending, I liked everything else about it. So anyway,
It's better
yes,
than
we
the
rambled on too much. This is what we do. We love to ramble and talk about the things we love. So but yeah, I'm assuming we'll probably be talking next week because Oscar nominations are next week, I think. So
On the 23rd, yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
All
for
right.
anyone who
We
wants
doing
to
that
be a part
live?
of that, we'll have to do our annual live reaction to it as well. So
I should be able to
Yeah,
do that. Yeah. What time is that?
It's
We'll
probably
talk
going to be
after,
pretty
yeah.
morning.
yeah, now it depends on also if I have to work early because I have to usually have to go to work earlier on that stuff.
Yeah,
Or-
I'm definitely either going to be asleep or already at work when that happens.
I have
Yeah,
a home office.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, no, that'll be exciting. So you'll hear us talk about that next week, everybody. But otherwise, thank you all for joining me talking about this. It's great to talk about the 3 shows that won all the Emmys tonight. All right. Well, so everybody, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.